Hello, America, and welcome to the Glenn Beck program and to The Blaze. This is the network that you are building. We have a lot to talk to you about. I want to show you here the mosaic, and I can't really see what from here what the top one is. The top one, reporter discovers bizarre detail in the case surrounding 3 women found alive 10 years after disappearance. This is a wild, wild story. We have another gun story. 2nd grader suspended for making noises. The Benghazi stories that we have. Tomorrow's a big day on Benghazi. But the first one is the story of a neighborhood. A neighbor changed. I mean, after that last kidnapping, somebody in the neighborhood wrote in Ohio that this whole neighborhood has changed. It's just not the same anymore. What's so shocking about it is it's the kidnapper's son that wrote that article. Find it now at theblaze.com. Tonight I'm going to cover what happened in Ohio and so much more, but we're going to cover it in a slightly different way than everybody else is, I think. I don't really know. I'm not really watching the other coverage on it. I've been doing a lot of reading today, and I'm brought back to a gift somebody gave me and asked me to preserve, and I'll show it to you tonight. I took all of these pieces and I had them bound in a book called Forgiveness is Found from Within. It is a true American treasure. But to get here, I have to show you what we have to forgive. It started yesterday. Yesterday evening in Ohio, a 911 operator received a panic caller pleading for help. Here it is.
Help me, I'm Amanda Berry.
You need police, fire, or ambulance?
I need police.
Okay, and what's going on there?
I've been kidnapped and I've been missing for 10 years, and I'm here. I'm free now.
Okay, and what's your address?
2207 Seymour Avenue.
2207 Seymour. Looks like you're calling me from 2210. Looks like you're calling me from 2210.
I can't hear you.
It looks like you were calling me from 2210 Seymour.
Yeah, I'm across the street. I'm using the phone.
Okay, stay there with those neighbors. Talk to the police when they get there.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, talk to the police when they get there.
Okay. Hello?
Yeah, talk to the police when they get there.
Okay, all right. I'm away right now.
We're going to send them as soon as we get a car open.
No, I need them now before we get back.
All right, we're sending them, okay?
Okay, I mean, like,
Who's the guy who's the guy who went out?
His name is Ariel Castro.
All right, how old is he?
He's like 52.
All right, and
Steven, I'm Amanda Berry. I've been on the news for the last 10 years.
Okay, I got that here. I already. And you said, what was his name again?
Ariel Castro.
And is he white, black, or Hispanic?
He's Hispanic.
And what's he wearing?
I don't know, because he's not here right now. That's
when
why I got away.
When he left, what was he wearing?
Sweetheart, it's a pity. What?
Like the police are
This
on the way.
is really, it's just an amazing story. And that's where the nightmare ended and new nightmares begin. Let me show you where that nightmare really began. It was April 21st, 2003. It was 7 o'clock at night. 16-year-old Amanda Berry was finishing up her shift at work, the Burger King, West 110th Street in Cleveland, Ohio. She was planning to walk 3 blocks home, but when her sister called, Amanda said, I had found a ride home. She was planning to celebrate her 17th birthday the very next day, but that never happened because Amanda never came home. Not that night, nor the next, nor the day after that. Her mom called police to report her missing, and the community rallied. Vigils were held. Simple searches were conducted. Flyers were handed out. Almost exactly a year later, somebody else disappeared. This time, a 14-year-old special needs student. She went missing. And this is Gina. She went missing, same neighborhood, only a couple of blocks from where Amanda was missing. Now the community is in real shock, and they rally again. Police suspected the cases were connected, but they didn't know how. But when they noticed that there was an older, less reported kidnapping in 2000 in the same neighborhood, 20-year-old Michelle Knight, that's when police said something is really wrong here. Well, days led into weeks and months, and all of the leads started to dry up, and many began to fear the worst. You don't usually survive a kidnapping very long. Odds are against it. But Mom had this feeling inside of her. She said, Amanda is still alive. Well, that's what she felt. But then she made the mistake of going on a TV show and talking to a psychic. Well, here's what the psychic told her. I just hate this. She's not alive, honey. And I'll tell you why. Your daughter is not the type that, well, not the type that would not have called you. Well, that went against everything that Mom was feeling. She was confused. She was grieving. And she trusted the psychic instead of her own self. So she cleaned up Amanda's things, and she gave away her computer and took down the pictures of her daughter. In an interview, she said, please don't misunderstand me. I don't want to believe it, but I want to have hope. But after a year and a half, what else is there? It seems like the God-honest truth. My daughter would always call home. So now, let's go back to Amanda. The police are calling now a hero. She's a real hero in this case because she made a daring escape. For 10 years, she was in that house. 10. Amanda suffered mental torture, severe physical, sexual abuse. Reports now say the police found chains hanging from the ceiling. The fear these girls had to have felt, but she survived. After all of the fear and the pain, Amanda finally got to experience a little bit of joy regaining freedom. I don't know how long it lasted and how she must have ached to be held in her mother's arms. And then she said, where's Mom? Amanda's mom never gave up her hope, but after that appearance with the psychic, her spirit was crushed. She died in March of 2006. Those who knew her said she died of a broken heart. She never got to see her daughter alive again. The things Amanda and these girls, the things they went through, we'll never understand. And the things they lost, we can't even fathom. A decade worth of life. Think about where you were 10 years ago when this kidnapping happened. Just then, the United States was invading Iraq. Apple launched its new iTunes music store. Brand new then. Sold 1 million songs in the first week that she was missing. We were all going to the Lord of the Rings. It broke box office records. Millions lost power during the Northeast blackout. Do you remember that? And Elizabeth Smart was found alive 9 months after she was kidnapped. How much has changed since that period of time? How much have you changed? I've told you before that the light is growing, but so is evil. The evil inside of these kidnappers is profound. A week after Amanda was kidnapped, her mom received a call from Amanda's cell phone. It was a man. He said he was married to Amanda and that she would see her in a few days. She asked to speak with Amanda, and he hung up. He never called back. Ariel Castro attended at least 2 of the vigils for the missing girls. Now, he's the guy who kidnapped the girls. He was holding them in his home, and he goes to mourn and hold a candle. His last post on his Facebook page on May 2nd, 5 days ago, reads this: miracles really do happen. God is good. Ariel, I don't think God had anything to do with you, but miracles do happen. God is good. These women survived you. I don't know about the good part of God, but Ariel, you should pay attention, because vengeance is his alone. I was struck today the fact that this is modern day slavery. And slavery isn't about race. Slavery is and always has been about control. It's about power. And that power, that evil, is growing in our country. The reach for power and control, be it the government or the place you work, it is growing. And it is ancient in nature. We found out some new news today. On top of being held basically as a slave hostage, a sex slave hostage, she also birthed a daughter of one of these truly evil people during captivity. Imagine what birth was like. She didn't go to a hospital. A new report is coming out this afternoon now, alleging that the girls may have gotten pregnant multiple times and that there is, quote, disturbed dirt in the backyard. The evil that we are witnessing in our lifetime is difficult to comprehend. We have to recognize not only the things the girls went through, but we also should recognize they survived. Recognize that there is something in the human spirit that gets you through all of the madness.
God works in mysterious ways. You would never, I mean, it's just unbelievable, unbelievable. These girls, these women are so strong, stronger than I am. I will tell you that much. And they all have a positive attitude. And this is what we need from everyone. We need to still be a family, neighborhood with neighborhood. We need to watch out for all kids. Really, watch who your neighbor is, because you'll never know.
Watch who your neighbor is, because you never know. Don't snoop around, get to know your neighbor. Here's a novel concept. Talk to your neighbor. We're also busy, zoned into our cell phones and our iPads. We don't bother making human connections anymore. What do you say we look up from time to time? Look around. We might just see something. I talked to a police officer today because I'm going to show you some audio here in a second, and I asked, so if you saw something and you call the police, they think you're nuts. I don't know, something's wrong. The police officer told me, he said, Glenn, I've listened to you for years. I think one of the most important things you've said in a long time is get to know your sheriff and get to know your local police. I thought about that this afternoon in this case. We used to know, I don't know, Officer O'Malley or whoever it was. We knew the cops. My father, I remember he got stopped a couple of times for a speeding ticket. And he knew, he was like, hey, Steve, Bill, what are you doing? We knew each other. And if you saw something wrong, you could call up and say, hey, Steve, you know me. You know I'm saying there's something not right here. And Steve may not have necessarily believed you, but he would have watched that house for a while. He might have told the other guys on the force, hey, Bill knows something. When I look at this story, I'm amazed by one thing. The map. Look at how close these houses are together. They are right on top of each other. 10 years? A girl has a baby? 10 years? Nothing? Where's the community? Incredibly, Child Protective Services, who I don't count on to do anything, but I just want to point this out. Child Protective Services were sent to this home in 2004 because the suspect, a Cleveland school bus driver, that's what the guy did, he left a young boy on the bus. So when he locked the bus up, here's his kid trapped on the bus. Well, not supposed to do that. I wonder if the labor union was involved because they knocked on his front door, but he didn't answer the door, so they just left. They never made contact with him. They never returned to his house. I mean, it's amazing to me, especially when you remember what we've been watching on TV happening in California when they bust through that door in Sacramento, California. Remember, and they say, hey, lady, we're going to take your kid. Really? They didn't even bother to come back. Now, give them the benefit of the doubt. They're not looking for kidnapped girls, but what about the neighbors? Amanda had a child, birthed a child. How in the world did no one notice a baby being born next door or a baby crying in a house that wasn't supposed to have a baby? Nobody noticed this? The interview that is going viral right now is the guy who actually answered Amanda's plea for help. She was banging on the door, and Charles Ramsey helped her escape. He gave a pretty memorable telling off to the reporters, and it was really amazing, some of the things he said in its entirety. Let me just play a little bit of the clip here.
See, that girl Amanda told the police, I ain't just the only ones. It's some more girls up in that house. So they went up there, you know, 30, 40 deep, and when they came out was just astonishing, because I thought they were going to come up with nothing. I figured, I mean, whoever she was, and like I say, my neighbor, you got some big testicles to pull this off, bro, because we see this dude every day. I mean, every day.
How long have you lived here?
I've been here a year.
Okay.
You see where I'm coming from?
Right.
I barbecue with this dude. We eat ribs and whatnot and listen to salsa music. You see where I'm coming from?
Yeah. And you had no indication that there was anything
Hey,
else?
bro, not a clue that girl was in that house or anybody else was in there against their will. I knew something was wrong when a little pretty white girl ran into a black man's arms. Something is wrong here. Dead giveaway. Dead giveaway.
Charles, thank you very much.
Dead giveaway.
Okay. Everybody is looking at that, but you'll notice he said, I knew a year ago. And you have to go back to another interview that he gave. Now, this one isn't as entertaining as the first, but this is the one that I want you to pay very close attention to what he says, because it affects you. Watch.
Once she said her name, you recognized the name.
Yeah, yeah. And then I walked down the street and I told my neighbor, Anthony, and I said, Anthony, me and Anthony talked about this last year, but he told me I was paranoid because I just moved on the street, and I told him something wrong with that house. He told me just leave it alone, Chuck, and you see what happened.
This guy I am trying to get on the show. This guy I want to talk more than, I want to talk to him more than any president or anybody else. I want to talk to him. He said, I'm living on the street. This guy's been stripped down to nothing. You want to watch this story and actually get something out of it, because otherwise we're voyeurs. What are you learning from this story? Ooh, what about the chains? You want something out of this story? That guy can provide it. He knew something. Something inside of him said, there's something wrong with that house. There's something wrong with these people. But his friend said, oh, you're just paranoid. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. So he dropped it. Words have consequences. We should listen more than we speak. And I don't mean listen to each other. Maybe listen and hear. When the Spirit wells up in you, do not push it down. Do not dismiss it. If he would have known the local cop, if he would have had a friend who said, you know what, I know you, man. I know you're not crazy. What do you think is wrong? I'm going to tell you a couple of stories. I'll be cryptic on a couple things here, but last week, a couple of friends came over, and they came over to the house, and they told me I had only met a friend of theirs and their spouse one time. Met them one time, met them quickly, and they came over and they said, "Dude, how did you know?" I said, "What are you talking about? Do you remember when you met this couple?" And I said, yeah. And they said, a brief meeting. They said, you remember you asked, how does everybody feel about this couple? And I said, yeah. Why? He said, you told us something was wrong. Well, it turns out the husband is abusing the wife. I didn't know that. But I knew something was wrong with him, and I knew something was wrong in the relationship. And so I went to the family. No one else said they saw it. I wonder now how many of them are going, man, you know what, I did. I just dismissed it. Don't dismiss these things. One more story. I was at the NRA convention this weekend, and I occasionally will have decent discernment on people. And usually only, I wish I had it all the time, but usually only in, well, there's the line there, usually only in lines like this, and it happens rapidly. And you'll see, if you were watching that, you'll see people are in front of me very fast. And I don't like it, because I like to spend time with people, but I look people right in the eye. And I have this bizarre gift that occasionally I can look people in the eye and I can feel them. And I know I don't know anything about them. I don't know what they're really going through, but I can feel pain sometimes. And this guy in line Saturday, he came through and he was with 3 people, and he came through the line, and I looked up and I said, hi, and he looked me right in the eye and he said, how are you? And I said, fine, and I signed this book and I slid it back. And as I'm sliding it back and he's starting to turn, I feel, tell him everything's going to be okay. But he's smiling, everything seems to be fine. And then this woman comes up and she starts talking to me. And he's leaving, and I hesitated that long, and he's walking away. And she says, hi, how are you? And I'm signing the book for her, and I'm hearing again, tell him everything's going to be okay. Well, I look over, and he's already gone. I said to the woman, could you hold just a second? They stopped the line. I went around the podium, and I had to go out. They keep me in this little box thing now for security, and I went out, and I look out, and he's already way down. He's like 50 feet away from me, and he's way down by the escalators. And I said, hang on, I'll be right back. So I went out, and as I'm walking up to him, I see him with some friends, and he's laughing. And I'm thinking, I am so stupid. What am I doing? And I walked up to him, and he turned around, and he went, whoa, what's up? And I said, I don't even know what this means, but I feel like I'm supposed to tell you everything's going to be okay. The guy immediately broke down and hugged me and started to cry. I don't know what was going on in his life. But things like that become stronger when you actually follow through. If you don't believe any of the God stuff, read The Gift of Fear. There is a radar in all of us that too many of us ignore. It's a muscle. And the more you ignore it, the weaker it gets. Exercise it. It will warn you. It will set off alarm bells. Listen, listen. I'm sure a lot of people have been around that guy all weekend. A lot of people were around this husband and wife, and they thought something, but they didn't say anything. At some point, I have told you for years, at some point the Spirit will say to you, stop, turn around, go the other direction. We are here now. I don't know what the Spirit will tell you to do, but it's time to listen to it. It is the most sophisticated alarm system ever made. Use it. Back in a minute.
When Glenn left to Houston, he took version 7. He took the stage with version 13, a completely different speech than he set out to write.
Is this any less confrontational?
What are the factors, people, and experiences that changed 45 minutes of fighting words to an hour and 41-minute history lesson so new that most people missed it? I'm Mark Mabry. Join me Friday as I take you behind the curtain with Glenn Beck.
I am a gun. I have no heart, no brain, no soul. Alone, I am just a piece of metal. But with you, I am power. Together, we keep our families safe and our country free. Whoever controls me, controls everything. Control, exposing the truth about guns. A new book from Glenn Beck, on sale now. Visit glennbeck.com for more information.
Right now, exclusively at Goldline International, you can purchase the Devil's Brigade coin. These coins commemorate what is widely considered to be the beginning of our modern special forces. The quarter-ounce coin is 0.999% pure gold from the Royal Canadian Mint. It is eligible for Goldline's extended price guarantee program on select order sizes and shipping. And it recognizes the modern American and Canadian special forces that trace their heritage to the elite World War II Devil's Brigade unit. You need to read Goldline's important risk information and see if buying precious metals is right for you. I don't know if you saw the stock market, but celebrate, everybody. It's the Great Gatsby. It's over 15,000 now. And I was watching a little bit of CNBC and some of the financial news today, and good for you. You like paper, not me. 1-800-757-4653, 1-800-757-GOLD or goldline.com.
When economic problems loom, so do opportunities. In 2000, the U.S. national debt was $5.6 trillion, and gold averaged $279 an ounce. By 2010, the U.S. debt was $14 trillion. Gold reached a high of $1,420 an ounce. Today, our government is projecting over $20 trillion in debt by 2016. As the national debt casts a shadow over the financial landscape, isn't now the time to diversify your investment portfolio with gold? Goldline has been helping people like you diversify with gold for over 50 years. It's easy to get started. Call the number on your screen and ask for Goldline's free investor kit. Shipping is free. You pay the same price using cash or credit card, and qualifying orders are eligible for our price guarantee program. Call today and shine some light on your investment future.
There's nothing more precious than time spent with family. But who says family fun time can't be family gun time?
Push it back just a little bit.
Shooting is fun, it's safe,
Make sure it's clear.
and it's an important part of our heritage. So give it a shot, America. Cheaper Than Dirt has everything you need for good times and great memories. Cheaper Than Dirt, America's ultimate shooting sports discounter.
It's awesome. You crushed them. Just see that.
This is important news for dialysis patients. If you or a loved one have suffered a heart attack, sudden death, or abnormal heartbeat after a dialysis session, you could be eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. The dialysis solution may have contained Granuflow or Naturalite. We can help you find out. And if you were administered Granuflow or Naturalite and suffered heart injury, you have legal rights to seek compensation. Call the law offices of Davis & Crump right now. Operators are standing by.
These surviving girls are elated today, but they have a long, long road ahead. Being gone for that long, even if other family members still hold out hope that you were alive, most had to continue on with life. The reality is, without you being in their life, they can't stop. And so for them, you're dead. They don't see you growing. I don't know what it does to a teenage girl, but I will tell you, it made a profound change on a guy who was in the U.S. Navy, Commander Hugh Stafford. It made him write things. Maybe man isn't free, but he doesn't seem to function very well when he gives into that thought. This man spent 10 years in a POW camp in North Vietnam. After restoring honor in Washington, D.C., Hugh Stafford's family, who I have never met, and I just asked again if we can try again to find them. We have never found them. I want to meet them. I want to know about their father, because they handed me a box, and it was just papers and things that he wrote while he was in prison and after prison. And they gave all of these things to me and said, would you preserve them? And I have. And I've shown these before. This hangs in my office at home, and I look at it all the time. I just brought my son into my office just last week, and we sat there, and he was having a hard time with courage on something. And I sat down with him in my office, and I have all these things on my wall, and I said, what do all these things have in common? And I told him the story of all of them. And he said, courage, Dad. I said, yeah, courage. This is one of the most amazing pieces in American history, and it's a glimpse into a mindset of a man who was stronger than I think I could ever be. He said release could be dangerous and a traumatic period, and I thought of this today. This is what he wrote, and this is on the back of a cigarette wrapper that he had when he was in prison. He said, release could be dangerous and traumatic period. People are not as sympathetic as you expect. Loved ones may be dead or no longer love you. You were acutely alive to yourself all of these years, but partially dead to them. They lived in your mind from your memory, but such a memory is static. They lived all that time in a dynamic, changing world. You may resent changes in them that you would not have even detected had you been there to change with them. Your years of trial and soul-searching and agony in prison may not end with release. The first days and weeks of rehabilitation can be fraught with danger too. Have faith. Once this trial is over, all of it, the years in prison and the disillusionment of return, you'll be able to regard it as one big nightmare and then press on with life. Carry that with you. that nothing will be that bad ever again. There's so much of this I want to share with you. I want to share some on radio tomorrow. And if you happen to know the Stafford family, please reach out. I'd love to have them here and have them tell me about their father. He's amazing. Like I was a shoebox in my office. These young women in Ohio, they grew up in the same area. Some of them knew their kidnappers before. They're holding vigils just blocks away from the basement they're locked up in, just minutes from their own homes, for 10 years. Everything was happening to them, and their family can't relate. And how many will have family members that will say, I don't want to hear anymore. So many things could have happened to free these girls, but the biggest is community. This guy was in a prison camp in another country. These girls were this far away from the other house. We have to break down the walls that we have spent generations building up. I think this is a good wake-up call for America. This is a good wake-up call for the viewers of this program, at least. I hope all of America would see it, but I don't know where else they're getting this kind of information or this kind of look at this story. We have to rely on each other in times of trouble, not run into our homes and wait for the state to come banging on our doors. We have to be there, and we have to lead with our heart.
I'm Tim Larkin, founder of Target Focus Training and creator of 5secondsurvival.com. And what I'm about to say is controversial and will upset some folks. What you're watching are acts of real violence. It's ugly, vicious, and far worse than most people imagine. Today's thugs don't give a damn if you've got a bad hip, are a petite woman, or a senior. There's just one thing proven to let you walk away alive from a nightmare like this, and it's always with you. I'll show you what that is at 5secondsurvival.com.
911, what are you reporting?
For 25 years, I've taught the U.S. Navy SEALs, federal law enforcement, and CEOs how to deal with this type of threat. Now I want you to have the same protection. What I show at 5secondsurvival.com is so effective, the British government has shockingly banned me from teaching it to its citizens. Go to 5secondsurvival.com right now and discover the truth before someone dictates how you can protect your family against unexpected violence. That's 5secondsurvival.com.
Our business really slowed down, so we did not have that money to pay. I started to panic.
I've told many people our story, and it's almost hard to believe.
There's certainly a solution to everyone's tax problem. That's what we do here. Dealing with the IRS yourself is like going to court without a lawyer. We settle more cases in a month than most tax practitioners will do in a lifetime.
Tatler Reusable Canning Lids, family owned since 1976. That's right, Tatler Reusable Canning Lids. Yes, reusable, with a lifetime guarantee. Made in America, BPA free. Tatler Reusable Canning Lids, because those who can, do. Get rid of the disposable lid. Go to reusablecanninglids.com. Tatler Reusable Canning Lids.
You've probably seen commercials with famous actors talking about reverse mortgages, telling you how you can eliminate your monthly mortgage payment, still own your home, and live the life of your dreams. Well, most of that is true, but you need the facts. Call now for our 7 Secrets of Reverse Mortgages. This simple-to-read brochure includes information about possible hidden fees, which program benefits you and not the bank, and how to negotiate better terms. You need to call to get the facts. Operators are standing by.
Time to clean up storm damage? Brush piles taking over your land? Turn to the fastest, most durable wood chippers available, DR Rapid Feed Chippers. These powerful machines devour branches up to 5.5 inches thick, and they do it fast, real fast, because a DR Rapid Feed Chipper will self-feed most everything you give it. Drop in a branch and go get the next one. Choose from 4 models, including our 3-point hitch for tractor owners. So don't waste your time or money with underpowered equipment. Get the power, speed, and long-lasting durability of a DR Rapid Feed Chipper.
Call 1-800-515-4903 for free details about the amazing DR Chipper. You'll learn how you can save up to $400, receive free shipping, and get to try out a DR Chipper at home for 6 months. This is a very limited time offer, so call now. 1-800-515-4903. Online at drchipper.com.
Congress will be looking at the federal criminal code, and tonight on Real News, so will we, Will.
Well, you know, Jahar Tsarnaev has been charged with a federal crime empowered through the Commerce Clause. It's just one of 4,500 laws the federal government has now, all sanctioned virtually through the Commerce Clause. We're going to talk about that tonight. Where did the federal government get all of this power?
There are 3 girls involved in this. One of them we don't have a picture of, Amanda, Gina, and Michelle. They are free now after spending more than 9 years in captivity. I don't know how long it's going to take for them to recover. No idea. They have stories between them that we can only imagine. The circumstances of their imprisonment. Over the next coming days, we'll see stuff on television. Details will emerge that will turn your blood and make it boil and turn your stomach, chill your soul. That mustn't happen. Before that happens to you, please turn the television off. Keep the light within you. But at the same time, there are things that are useful to us that we have to know about. Because the story of these girls, they are not alone. The reality of what's happening to them is something that we all have to come to terms with, and that's human trafficking, sex slavery. It is a concept that most of us think was left behind. Human trafficking? That's 18th, 19th century stuff. But it is alive and well today. We know it's happening right now in Asia. We know it's happening in Africa. But it is also happening possibly in your neighborhood, right under your nose. Tomorrow night, coincidentally, For the Record, we'll show you the personal stories of women who have lived what these 3 girls lived. For the Record, they were coerced into the sex trade. The stories aren't exactly the same, but they are just as horrifying. We might think that this happens in other countries. We think of it, happening there, and it does. We might think about it happening in other neighborhoods, not the neighborhood like ours, and it does. But it's happening here in America, and it's happening possibly in a neighborhood just like yours. Modern-day sex slaves, 150 years after we supposedly stopped it here in America.
Really, I think it's important to note that these victims could be from anywhere. They could be men, they could be women. We have some victims that came from very upper middle class neighborhoods and were trafficked right under their parents' noses.
I think these guys saw me as the perfect target. They made one guy in charge, and we call it groomed, but he just kind of spent a lot of time with me, always around in school. I mean, this is right in my high school.
You have your typical boyfriend model where there's a pimp who actually recruits a girl by pretending to be a boyfriend.
And one day he asked me if I wanted a ride home from school, and I was 15. And I thought, well, this is great, because by then I've got a crush on him. I said, sure. And we get into his car, and he didn't take me home. He took me to his house. I had that feeling inside that something wasn't right.
This goes on in your small communities. Toledo, Ohio, for example, is a very big city with human trafficking, and the FBI actually considers Toledo as one of the recruitment cities.
I thought, I know him. I go to church with this guy. He goes to my school. You're being silly, Teresa. And so I went to his house with him, and he was just like, hey, come on inside, I'll show you around. And again, I had that feeling, but I was like, no, it's gonna be fine. He likes me. And so I went inside and I got drugged, and then I got raped. And several days later, he came to me and said, we have pictures. And he blackmailed me.
Do you notice she said a couple of things? I knew this wasn't right. I knew something had said, don't, this is not, no. It's exactly what I told you a few minutes ago. Don't dismiss that voice. That was Teresa Flores. Her story is literally one of thousands of stories just like it. For her and the young women rescued in Cleveland, the nightmare may be over, but the healing is going to take an awful lot of time. I urge you tomorrow. I can't believe this story broke, and we've been producing this for months, and it happens to be airing tomorrow. I would tell all of your friends. I would tell your neighbors. I would maybe have people come over. Tomorrow night at 8 o'clock is a pretty amazing story. Tomorrow we're going to convince you that this is a much farther, much bigger problem than you ever imagined. But we're also at the beginning of the episode, and this is the part that was stunning to me, is Egypt. We're going to take you, our cameras went in undercover in Egypt and are showing Christians now facing persecution and death at the hands of the Muslim Brotherhood. Young women are especially targeted for rape. It is horrific what's happening. Please call everybody in your church and tell them to watch The Blaze tomorrow. Tiffany, can you put that clip up so we have that clip up and you can send it to your friends, because it's about, really, it's exactly like the Cleveland story. And you notice she says Toledo is a recruiting area. We'll talk about stories like these and so much more tomorrow for the record. We may not like them, but no one else will cover them. That's what this network is all about. That's what your $9 goes to pay for every month, to pay for shows like this. We thank you. If we ever want to end and move into a better place, we first have to identify and understand the problems of the one we're in now. 8 p.m. tomorrow night for the record. Join us. Tell a friend. Hello, America. I want to thank you so much for letting your voice be heard and demanding that your TV provider carry the blaze. But don't stop now. We need you to keep up the pressure so that your beliefs and your values and the truth are represented on your TV lineup. In the meantime, join the hundreds of thousands of Americans who think just like you by subscribing to The Blaze TV. We need your help today.
Visit theblaze.com/TV for your free trial of The Blaze TV. Your beliefs, values, and the truth are waiting.
The stock market hit a brand new record today. It was 15,000. And as I was watching some of the financial shows today, one of them said, one of these experts said, you know, the average person gets in very, very late, unfortunately. And who knows, it might be too late now, but there's still a lot to go up. And one of the other hosts said, you know, this is all being driven by the Fed. What happens if some of these countries like Europe, which Europe is kind of doing okay now, but what happens when that begins to fall apart? Everybody said, I don't know, I bet that's when real pain will really come. Okay, good. Harry Truman said the reward of suffering is experience. Have we forgotten what our grandparents taught us? Through economic hard times or disasters, please, foodinsurance.com. Have a food storage supply on hand like we do with my family. Foodinsurance.com.
Hi, I'm Brian Brody from Solutions from Science, and you know there's really never been a better time to get off the grid and generate your own supply of electrical power. It's true, more and more Americans are now using solar power generators to get household basics off the grid and provide emergency electrical power in the event of a disaster. Unlike gas generators, solar power generators don't produce dangerous fumes. They run quietly since there are no moving parts. They plug and play, taking only a few minutes to set up. Run sump pumps, shortwave radios, computers, even keep your food from spoiling. Remember, governments don't own the sun, neither do power companies. Go to betterinablackout.com. That's betterinablackout.com. And learn about this week's special television offer. Solutions from Science is offering an Eliminator 1500 absolutely free with your order. But hurry, we only have 44 Eliminators in stock to give away. To get yours, go to betterinablackout.com. That's betterinablackout.com.
FinallyFast.com saved my computer. It was so slow, virtually useless. I was this close to tossing it. Then I tried FinallyFast.com and it fixed the problem. I got my speed and my sanity back.
If your computer runs slow, freezes, or gives error messages, get answers now with a free diagnosis at FinallyFast.com.
A virus forced me to throw away a perfectly good computer. Now I keep it safe with FinallyFast.com.
Take the next step to a faster, safer computer. Go to FinallyFast.com.
As a former military police officer, I know the importance of computer security. That's why I trust FinallyFast.com to protect my PC.
The very minute I ran Finally Fast, I saw an improvement in speed.
Finally Fast can diagnose your computer and get it running at peak performance, whether it's older or brand new.
Finally Fast.
Finally Fast.
FinallyFast.com.
Get your free diagnosis now at FinallyFast.com.
Weeknights at 7 p.m. Eastern.
Amnesty is unacceptable.
He's definitely not your dad's talk show host.
What we have to understand is that progressives don't believe your money's yours.
He's just one of the guys who just happens to know a lot about politics and loves his history.
I'm going to get all historical on you.
The left may be scared of him, but you'll love him.
There we go. It's party time.
Passionate, unfiltered, honest. Will Cow. Weeknights at 7 p.m. Eastern with an encore at 10 on The Blaze.
Tomorrow is a very, very big deal for Benghazi. Benghazi is a story that we have been watching for a while, and the whistleblowers now are scheduled to appear before Congress tomorrow for their testimony. The Blaze is going to carry all of that testimony live. In Washington, they don't seem to be too bothered by this. This photo was taken yesterday. Do we have it? They're still denying any wrongdoing, and at the same time, he's got to take some more golf. Same time, more and more evidence is pointing to contradict the facts that the Blaze has been on and been right on with this story from the very beginning. Today, our investigative Blaze team has learned of new inaccuracies in the government's original account of the Benghazi attack. Do you remember when it first happened and they told us that 3 private contractors who were killed along with Ambassador Stevens, that they were just down the road from the compound in the annex, and they told us these guys heard shots and explosions and they ran to help the ambassador and the staff, and the men were killed in the firefight. This is really important because remember, this is the dad, one of the dads in Hawaii that was there that we had on this program. There's a change to the story because now we're hearing from sources that 2 of the 3 contractors actually had commandeered a plane in Tripoli when they heard about the attack and then flew that plane to Benghazi. We're also hearing that there was a security detail of approximately 15 men inside the compound at the time of the attack, and they were ordered to stand down and evacuate. This group had to fight their way out of the compound and make their way to the CIA annex down the road, where they waited for more than 20 hours to be transported out of the area. Is this a conspiracy, media? Many injured. They were taken directly to Walter Reed Hospital back home. But this is where it gets very interesting. They were then ordered not to speak publicly about any of this. Tomorrow at the hearing, hopefully, we will learn finally who ordered our Department of Defense to stand down. We can't forget about these things. We know that a Special Forces team was an hour away when the attack occurred. We know this. The Blaze reported it. We have this as an exclusive story, at least it was exclusive this morning when I came on the radio to explain it. They had been on the scene before the second attack on the compound if they would have been allowed to go. This is all going to surface during the hearing, we hope. We hope. What I can tell you right now is we have sources confirming that there was a stand-down order given to the Special Forces team. This will confirm that our government has been lying the entire time. Doesn't that vindicate what the Blaze has been saying since September? Doesn't that vindicate you? Or will the media and Washington and everyone else just cover up? Here's some more evidence. According to a new article in the Weekly Standard, a 35-year-old kid named Ben Rhodes is largely responsible for diverting the blame away from the Islamic terrorist after the attacks on the Benghazi consulate. The Standard writes, quote, Ben Rhodes, a top advisor to the President Obama on national security and foreign policy, further advised that the group issues would be resolved in a meeting of top administration officials the following morning at the White House. Sure, resolved. Let me tell you what resolved means. This guy, Ben Rhodes, met with a deputy CIA director, Michael Morrell. Then after the meeting, all mentions of Al-Qaeda and Sharia had suddenly disappeared from all of the talking points. The White House is insisting the only change they made to the talking points was to change the word consulate to the word diplomatic facility. But on September 14th at 11:15 a.m., here's what the talking points look like. Here it is. Oh, golly, there's a lot in here. It says Islamic extremists with ties to Al-Qaeda participated in the attack. It mentions the militant group Ansar al-Sharia. Then, one day later, Mr. Rhodes has his meeting with the deputy director of the CIA, and all of a sudden the talking points change to this. All of that has been redacted. I don't know if you can see, but all of that stuff has been lined out. This entire bottom part, the part about jihadists, Al-Qaeda, Ansar al-Sharia, all been cut out. Then a few hours later, the CIA releases their final version, again, with no mention of Al-Qaeda, Sharia, and the attacks are now being called demonstrations. According to our sources, the State Department spokesperson, Victoria Nuland, wasn't too fond of the original draft because there is no Al-Qaeda problem. So the State Department demanded that it be changed. The CIA made some changes, but they weren't good enough. Ms. Nuland and the State Department said change it some more. That's when Ben Rhodes and his meeting with the deputy CIA director happened. It all seems very interesting when you consider the fact that at 35 years old, Mr. Rhodes is not only Obama's deputy national security advisor, but he is also Obama's personal speechwriter. In fact, he wrote the speech Obama gave in front of the Muslim Brotherhood in Cairo, praising Islam. But more interesting is the fact that just a few years ago, he got his master's degree in fiction writing from NYU. He's never studied government. He never studied diplomacy, national security intelligence, or anything relevant for that matter. Instead, he has his degree in fiction, which is exactly what this administration and an administration's revisionist narrative of the attacks are, fiction. Oh, by the way, he also has a troubling relationship. I think it's his brother that's the head of CBS News. There's a lot to report beginning tomorrow on The Blaze.
Let me tell you some of the reasons people get into trouble with credit cards. A job loss or salary cut, an unexpected expense. Consolidated Credit helped over 5 million people just like you. We can reduce your interest rates, cut your monthly payments, and help you get out of debt fast. The time to call Consolidated Credit is now. When debt is the problem, we are the solution.
Call Consolidated Credit now.
800-903-5442. That's 800-903-5442.
I'm Tim Larkin, founder of Target Focus Training and creator of 5secondsurvival.com. And what I'm about to say is controversial and will upset some folks. What you're watching are acts of real violence. It's ugly, vicious, and far worse than most people imagine. Today's thugs don't give a damn if you've got a bad hip, are a petite woman, or a senior. There's just one thing proven to let you walk away alive from a nightmare like this, and it's always with you. I'll show you what that is at 5secondsurvival.com.
911, what are you reporting?
For 25 years, I've taught the U.S. Navy SEALs, federal law enforcement, and CEOs how to deal with this type of threat. Now I want you to have the same protection. What I show at 5secondsurvival.com is so effective, the British government has shockingly banned me from teaching it to its citizens. Go to 5secondsurvival.com right now and discover the truth before someone dictates how you can protect your family against unexpected violence. That's 5secondsurvival.com.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of the world's most comfortable pillow, My Pillow. We all have the same problem sleeping at night. Our pillows go flat. We end up folding our pillows over for support, using our arms, flip-flopping all night long like a guppy. We wake up in the morning, we have sore necks, we have headaches, our arms are asleep, we feel like we need a nap in the afternoon even though we've slept 8 hours. Well, with my patented fill, wherever you move this pillow, it'll hold the exact position for you as an individual, and you'll get the best night's sleep of your life. It stays cool, you don't have to flip it to the cool side. It stays healthy for a full 10 years, and it's warranted not to go flat. And you can throw it right in the washer and dryer just like your favorite blue jeans, and I personally guarantee it's going to be the most comfortable pillow you'll ever own.
When you call or order online, be sure to use the promo code MyPillow to get a generous 25% discount on your entire order.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
Your snoring sounds like a freight train. It's not healthy for you, and it prevents your partner from sleeping at all. You may search for solutions like nose strips, sprays, and other gadgets, but the proven way to eliminate snoring is to widen your airway. That's what dentists do with custom devices, but they cost thousands. Now there's an affordable solution. Introducing Z-Quiet, dentist designed and cleared by the FDA. Z-Quiet gently positions your lower jaw slightly forward to widen the airway and stop your snoring. Z-Quiet is comfortable and easy. It doesn't require boiling, fitting, or sleeping with a closed mouth like other mouthpieces. It's ready to use right out of the box. The soft material and patented flexible hinge provide comfort to stop your snoring the very first night.
So I ordered it, and it worked the first night. The snoring stopped instantly once I started using it.
Amazing for me.
Try Z-Quiet for 30 days for only $9.95. If Z-Quiet doesn't solve your snoring, send it back and never pay a penny more. Stop snoring now. Get Z-Quiet.
Men beaten or killed. Women kidnapped and raped. Children taken from their parents. Families torn apart. All for one reason. They are Christians. For the Record takes an exclusive look inside Egypt and exposes the truth about the Muslim Brotherhood's terrifying campaign to persecute and destroy an entire faith. For the Record, Episode 2, tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern, only on The Blaze.
I want to give you a quick programming note. The Blaze is going to cover tomorrow's congressional hearing on Benghazi live beginning at noon Eastern. Our coverage is going to be anchored by Buck Sexton from the Blaze newsroom in New York City. And I think it's, before the last election I said, this is Watergate, this Benghazi thing. I don't know in the end if we have the media to do it, but this is a very bad mess. And nobody's even gotten to the gun running, but we were running guns. We still, probably not now, but we were running guns and arms to Syria, and we'll talk a little bit about that in the coming days. I wanted to spend just a minute or so with you here at the end to talk to you a little bit more. On Friday, you're going to see some behind-the-scenes stuff from the NRA speech, but you might be able to get a glimpse of where I'm headed, and you know, I mean, you've been with me for a long time, so you know. But it started, and this summer I begin work on what I think is some of the most important work we can do. Teaching and helping each other how to be good to each other, and then instilling these values and these principles deep inside of ourselves and our children. That's why I'm making Man in the Moon. And most people don't know what this is, even my own staff. It is intense and incredible. And it is a completely different way of looking at American history. If you looked at the history of the world from the beginning of time until today, and you were the man in the moon, what would you notice? What would be the patterns that you would see that would be important? Who would he think we are? We're going to put together David Barton and I are putting together a miniature museum for the museum that we want to build in Independence someday, the real National Archives. I worked with some Disney Imagineers, former Disney Imagineers, just over the weekend at the NRA. I took a break for a couple of hours and I worked with them and flew them in, and they are designing a history museum of some of the greatest things in American history, some things you've never seen before. And I told them, Walt Disney, when he designed Main Street, he used to get down with his architects, and he would get down on his knees and he would look at it this way. And I told the artist, I said, that's the way this history museum has to be designed. I want kids this size to see it. Find out all about it at glennbeck.com/tour, or you can go to mercury1.org and find out all the information. This summer, Independence Week, Salt Lake City, Man in the Moon. From Dallas, good night, America.
Sea and on land, it is not reasonable that they could have responded. They were in any kind of timely way. This was over in a matter of about 20 or 30 minutes with respect to the special mission specifically.
Now, we have at least one whistleblower who seems to pretty starkly contradict that. That would be somebody well placed to know because he was on the ground at the time. It was the Deputy Chief of Mission, Gregory Hicks. He's scheduled to testify tomorrow, and he said that I believe if we had been able to scramble a fighter or aircraft or two over Benghazi as quickly as possible after the attack commenced, I believe there would not have been a mortar attack on the annex in the morning because I believe the Libyans would have split. They would have been scared to death that we would have gotten a laser on them and killed them. Effectively what he's saying here is getting any air asset that could have even looked like it posed a kinetic direct military threat. An F-15, anything, might have changed the game on the ground in Benghazi. And he's pointed out, by the way, that there was the U.S. naval base at Ceuta in Crete. People have talked about Aviano in Sicily, but he's saying that there were some options here. It's all a question of when you start your timeline, when you start the response window. Guys, we're going to also look into the stand-down order, which I want to take as a separate issue here. But tomorrow, assuming that what we have here is going to be expanded upon, the idea that there could have been military assets called into play that were not. How is this going to play out? I mean, is this a major pressure point for the administration, or will they merely... Because, look, we all here know, we all know there's a cover-up, we're all on board, we know Benghazi as a debacle. I just mean in terms of what can be proven and what might actually have consequences. The military option, what does it mean?
Very little. It's going to get lost completely in the term that we've all come to appreciate, the fog of war. No matter how many people you can trot out to say they should have or could have done something during this window, there will be someone in turn within the administration that says, no, we could not have known that at that time. We had no idea what the window was, and the risk was too great. Whoever is right is really beside the point because both cases will be unprovable. Your question is, how much traction will it have then? Very little.
But if anyone can be proven, wouldn't it be Gregory Hicks on the ground, #2 in command?
Who became number one.
Who became number one, was the only eyewitness that we can question at this point, who was there, who knew what the time was like, what it felt like in that room, what had been going on outside. If anyone's an unimpeachable witness in this, I think it would be him.
And why would the Special Operations Forces on the annex be painting laser targets if they don't think that the military can come and support them?
It may be, Amy, that they believe that actually could have just scared away. The idea was, and this is sort of the same idea with the air assets, is that just having an F-15 on site, even if we're not picking out targets, buzzing them, and just having lasers on targets may have scared people away.
Absolutely. And, you know, and they said they were turned away. They were stopped. They were getting ready to board the aircraft, and they were stopped. And what's more important here, and Stephen Hayes wrote about this in the Weekly Standard, were the email exchanges between the State Department and the CIA. This is valuable information, and it shows that, to a certain extent, the administration was trying to change the story. And I think that's something that is going to reel this administration.
That is the story.
That is the story. Right. But on this particular issue, on the decisions that were made that night, do you guys disagree with me that this is essentially something that can become a scandal?
I think on the notion of the aerial assets and the timelines there, the very senior brass are going to be able to say, look, we couldn't have done it. This guy, he's on the ground, yes, but he doesn't know how long we didn't have the refueling capability in air. However, you transition to something that I think is really...
But before we transition to that, there's also the case that we had a commander-in-chief who didn't appear to be interested in this firefight unfolding at his embassy.
We're going to get there. Before we transition to that, there was this notion about the stand-down order, which is separate from the aerial assets. And Hicks also had something to say on that. He said that Lieutenant Colonel Gibson, who is the Africa commander, his team, you know, they were on their way to the vehicles to go to the airport to get on the C-130. This is a team from Tripoli, a quick response team supposed to get to Benghazi to get on the C-130 when he got a phone call from the commander who said, you can't go now, you don't have authority to go now, and so they missed the flight. Now, on the notion, this is what I want to ask you guys, on the notion of planes not being able to get there in time, maybe they don't have the assets, I think people disagree on that. I think the administration is playing a little fast and loose for the truth, but I don't know if we can prove it. If they can prove this order was given, very hard not to draw a direct line to Americans were in danger and dying, and we decided to hold back because we were worried about what would happen if we put more assets in the field.
But leaving the question open as to why. Why did you hold back? Here's my entire point. In order for this to get traction, you're going to have to convince average Joe American that they're going to be coming into this with a prism. This is above my pay grade. I don't know what decisions should or could be made during war. They are going to outsource that judgment to military leaders. Is Gregory Hicks unimpeachable, as you said? We will find out because he will be impeached. And that is my entire point. When he is impeached, you'll be lost with crossfire of opinions. An average American will not be able to go, I see clearly.
But add into this, add to this, the thing that makes this very damning, Will, and I think makes it easier to believe someone like